Hi everyone. It is Saturday night, which is normally date night, but since we're in quarantine, we thought it might be a fun date night activity to talk about our favorite date night locations or restaurants in Walt Disney World. So I'm Kim. I'm your Mickey Travels agent extraordinaire. I've been to Walt Disney World probably 20 some times, and I'm joined by my very handsome husband, Brandon. Hi.
Hello.
Who is going to give you his rankings as well as in terms of our top 5 date night locations for Walt Disney World. So I know that there are a lot of non-believers out there who do not think that you can enjoy Walt Disney World as adults on an adult only trip. Like you can only go with your children, and that it's a place for kids, and that you must be out of your mind if you're going to go just as adults. And I'm here to tell you that that is not the case, and you should listen to us because we know what we're talking about. So I wanted to, I wanted to hand it over to Brandon because I'm biased. I've been there 20 some times, but Brandon, before he met me, so that was in 2013 when we met, right?
I think
So
so.
before that, he had only been to Walt Disney World, I think, one time, and so since then you've been, I don't know, six
At
or
least
seven
six or
times.
seven more times, yeah.
So what were your thoughts about it?
So I think before meeting you, I think I thought of it as just a childhood place. I thought of it as more of a theme park, especially from a food perspective. Didn't even think of it at all for that matter. Um, Park food, chicken nuggets, burgers, stuff like that. But going with you, especially as an adult before we had children, had a completely different experience. Saw all sorts of nightlife, adult activities, adult uh, lounges, adult restaurants, food options that you would never even expect from Disney World. So it completely changed my thoughts on it for sure.
See, if it changed him, it can change you also. All right, so we are going to talk about our top 5 date night restaurants in Walt Disney World. So we have them ranked, which was, for me, it was super stressful. I don't like ranking anything. I'm like, oh, I love everyone. So I guess we'll start with number 5 and then work our way up to what our number 1 spot is. And I have a feeling that we're gonna have very similar restaurants on our list. They might not be in the same order, but we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. So number 5 for me, I said was Narcoossee's at the Grand Floridian.
I feel like this is going to be are we a compatible couple thing at the end of this. How many answers did we get that matched? I also said Narcoossee's at the Grand Floridian as my number 5.
Okay. So let me frame it up. Criteria for date night for me anyway is that I want a place that has a nice ambiance. I want it to be relaxing. I don't want it to feel really chaotic. I don't want to feel like I'm being herded through something like cattle. I want to sit back. I want to have a nice meal. I want it to be relaxed. And I want to feel like I am being taken care of and that I can just kind of, sit down and enjoy the evening and that it's not crazy, it's not rushed. So Narcoossee's was number 5 for me. The Grand Floridian, obviously, it's a beautiful resort. Narcoossee's is right on the water. And if you are there in the evening in time for fireworks from the Magic Kingdom, you can actually go out on the deck and see the fireworks from that location. It's beautiful looking out over the Seven Seas Lagoon, very scenic, really great view. I thought that the food was great. I remember I had scallops there and they were fantastic. I thought that the service was good. The wait staff was very friendly, very accommodating. It's a bit noisier of an atmosphere than some of the other ones on my list, which is probably why I put it as number 5. But the benefit to that is if you have a little one who you don't have a sitter that night, but you want to do something a little bit nicer, you can take them to that location and feel comfortable because it's not going to feel stuffy. It's not going to feel like, oh, if they start singing or whatever, it's going to make a scene because there's a lot of noise. We went there. I guess it was like 2 or 3 years ago. We had a date night with my sister and brother-in-law, and we had a great time. We really enjoyed it. So that was number 5 for me.
Yep, same for me. I think criteria-wise for me, date night restaurants, there are atmosphere, quality of food choices, not necessarily a place that you can't take your little ones if you had them, to Kim's point. A lot of these places, with the exception of maybe one, well, I would say just one, you definitely could take little ones too, but it definitely also has an atmosphere and high, I'll call it higher end food choices, more unique food options, really nice cocktail and wine and beer selections. So that's kind of, what I'm thinking of as far as date night for me. Narcoossee's was an amazing restaurant. It's the one and only time that we've been there, at least we've been there together. Beautiful, beautiful view of the water. Food was delicious, just very nice, relaxed, quiet, relatively quiet atmosphere. And of course the resort is beautiful as well. So it just makes for a nice night to go over, even if you're not staying there, to walk the grounds, walk around the resort, walk through the lobby and see the Grand Floridian if you haven't been there, and then also, have dinner while you're there.
Okay. All right, number 4. So I have number 4 as Jico for me. What about you?
Same for me, number 4, Jico at Animal Kingdom
We
Lodge.
did not, just for the record.
We did not consult.
Converse. No, we did not. So yeah, Jico at Animal Kingdom Lodge. And the reason I have this kind of as number 4 is because I've been to Jico several times, and every time I go, it is great. I have fantastic service. I have fantastic food. The food can be a little bit, I don't want to say exotic because it's not exotic, but it can be a little bit different than what you might be accustomed to. So it doesn't suit everyone's taste, but we both had great experiences there. And the other thing is Animal Kingdom Lodge is a little further away from everything else. So it's not as convenient of a hotel to get to as some of the other ones. You can't, like from Animal Kingdom, for example, you can't walk there. You'd have to take a bus. And from the other resorts, you'd either have to take a bus to Animal Kingdom and then bus over to Animal Kingdom Lodge, or as we do, because I'm a very impatient person, we just cab. So it's a little bit more of a commitment to get there. So that's why it's a little bit lower on my list, but fantastic restaurant. I've been there, I think, 3 or 4 times, and it's been great every single time. And what is really neat too, about the restaurant and just the hotel in general, is that you can actually walk out and see some of the savannah and see some of the animals. So after dinner, if you want to take a little romantic stroll and see some of the animals, you can do that, and it's a really neat place.
Yeah, I love Jico. I've only been the one time, but I love it for really purely the food. I mean, it like Kim mentioned, it's an exotic, a little bit more exotic restaurant as far as the menu is concerned. It's an African-based menu, so you're going to find things there that are very different and unique from any other restaurant that you might go to in Walt Disney World. But for us personally, we really like that kind of thing. Really awesome bread service. I remember, very unique, different types of dips and spreads for the different types of breads that they give you. They do have chicken, they do have steak. It's similar to any other Disney restaurant that's going to have some sort of dish of each of those, typical meats and things that you would expect. They have a pasta dish, but with their unique elements and spices and flair to it, that just for us was just, really, really unique and just interesting dining experience.
Yep. Okay, so that was number 4. All right, so number 3. What was your number 3? You start. You start.
So 3 for me was flying fish at Boardwalk.
Same. Same. Flying fish at Boardwalk. We love staying at Boardwalk. I love the location. I love the area. I love everything about Boardwalk. But Flying Fish is a great restaurant. It's perfect for date night because it's swanky. Seafood is kind of their specialty, but they do have other items on the menu. We've gone to Flying Fish a couple times though, and not necessarily, we didn't sit down in the restaurant and eat. We sat at the bar. The bartenders are super friendly. They make a mean pumpkin martini. So if you're there during the fall, you should definitely ask for it. It's not necessarily something that they will have on the menu, so you might need to ask them. And we've had a great time just sitting at the bar, enjoying the cocktails, getting appetizers and whatnot. But when we have dined there in the restaurant portion of it, phenomenal service, great food. We had our little one. She was 1 year old. She was 1 year old when
Yep.
we went there with her, and they were super accommodating to her. We felt a little, we weren't sure how it was going to go because it is a swankier atmosphere. So it's not somewhere that, if your toddler decides to throw a tantrum, that you're going to be like, okay, this is fine. You're going to feel a little awkward because of the atmosphere there. But for date night, it's perfect.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we love the whole boardwalk area. If you haven't been over there, it's just amazing to walk around. The boardwalk goes clear around the lagoon. You can walk over by Beach Club, Yacht Club, then you go over by the Swan and Dolphin. So there's just a lot to see there. There's a lot of restaurants. Just really, really neat area. It's right by the back entrance of Epcot, so that's one of the main reasons we love it over there is because you're within walking distance of Epcot, which is pretty amazing. Flying Fish is probably one of the best restaurants around the boardwalk. There's a couple other ones that are really nice there too. But from a seafood perspective, we both like seafood, very, very fresh, very, very, just delicious seafood dishes. They've recently remodeled it, so it's a really neat atmosphere inside. Really cool chandeliers, just kind of a little bit darker atmosphere, just kind of a neat type of dinner place. Like Kim mentioned, we did have our daughter there when she was 1. We had no idea how it was going to go. It was actually one of the first nights we were there, and she did fantastic. She just sat in her chair and just ate her food and was perfectly fine. Good news is if you do have a child that has a meltdown, you have the boardwalk that's right outside, so it's easy. It's easy to walk out. You're not walking around a parking lot. You can just easily take them out, distract them, walk around the boardwalk. So you have that right outside the door, which is nice just in case.
Yeah. Okay. I think our list is going to be pretty much identical.
I was
I feel like I need to switch it up.
If we were 5, 4, and 3 on, I'm almost positive we have 2 and 1 matching also at this point.
All right, so number 2.
Topolino's Terrace at Riviera.
Topolino's Terrace, phenomenal. So we just went there. So it's the end of March, and so we were there at the beginning of February, and Riviera opened in December of 2019. So this was our first trip there, and it was phenomenal. We had impeccable service. It takes a while, and I don't know long term if the service will continue to be as long as ours was. It was we were there for 3 hours.
Yeah, we were there 2.5 to 3 hours.
But it wasn't that wasn't a bad thing. They really made it an experience. You were catered to. Everything was explained to you in detail, and with the appetizers and the entrees and the desserts, everything was timed perfectly. The bread was phenomenal. Bread is a big deal for me. The food was fantastic, but the service was impeccable, and that is really what won me over with this restaurant. I was blown away by the service. I don't think that I've had that good of service in a while. So I highly recommend it. Again, we did have our 2-year-old with us at the time, and we were very nervous. We went there the day that we arrived. We had gotten off of a plane. She didn't nap at all, and we're like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a disaster. But our waiter was very attentive to her, kept her entertained, and I mean, it was just great. I would like to go back, just the two of us, so we can have a true date night, because it's the perfect location for a date night. Perfect location for a date night. And then they have a beautiful terrace outside where you can take drinks. You can see the fireworks in the evening from Epcot and I believe Hollywood Studios as well, and just kind of like look out over the grounds and whatnot. And it's a beautiful resort. So I was just blown away with Topolino's Terrace.
Yeah, I was too. I mean, that was probably our most recent experience, so we've been talking about it ever since. But yeah, I mean, it's at the very top of the Riviera Resort, so it's the 10th floor looking out over top of Walt Disney World. So amazing views, amazing food, amazing service. Like Kim said, not at all was the 2.5 to 3 hours due to any sort of delay or waiting, or again with a 2-year-old, uncomfortable times in between. She was never fussy. It was all part of the experience from start to finish. You come out of the elevators, there have 4, I think, floor to ceiling wine cases that are just stacked, one for every different type of wine,
And cheeses.
and
too.
cheeses.
And
Fresh
pastas.
pastas that are in a refrigerator as soon as you come off that you can see that are in the cases, which is amazing. It's an Italian restaurant, so people have thought with it being at a French resort, is it a French restaurant? It's Italian, but it's one of the best Italian restaurants I think we've ever been to. Service was amazing. Every dish we had was amazing. I had a full bone-in bronzino fish. I've never seen a waiter debone a fish like that before. He said if you don't know how to debone your fish, I'm kind of a pro at it, so let me do it for you. I thought, okay, how many ways are there to do this? And I personally hate having little bones in my fish, so I was really I'm a little apprehensive sometimes about getting a fish when it's fully head-on bones in it, because I don't want to be picking out little bones through the whole entire experience. And he literally had it completely 100% deboned in about 2 minutes. It was just an artwork of the way he did it, which was amazing, which just added to the experience. So definitely one of our favorites. One thing to actually note, which is interesting, if you do get a chance to go to Riviera or stay there, on the lobby level there is a wine bar, a little wine bar lounge there. And they actually, they may or may not tell you this, but they actually have the full wine list from Topolino's down there. So there might only be 3 or 4 wines on the wine menu down at that lounge, but they'll go up. They have a back elevator that they'll go up, and within 5 minutes they can get you any wine off of the Topolino's menu, which is about 25 pages long. So just a neat little fun fact to know about that.
We did that one night actually, because our daughter goes to bed early, so she's in bed between 7 and 8, and so then we're kind of stuck in a dark hotel room. So we got a bottle of wine from Topolino's Terrace, and what did we get? Like cheese and.
Yep, cheese and charcuterie, and then also they had these little, I wish I remember what they were called, but these little almost like donut hole looking things, but they were kind of like brownies. They had a name for them, but they were delicious. They come in a little tray of 6. They were amazing with a bottle of wine.
Yeah, and we sat out on the porch and just had a date night out there, which was actually lovely. So yeah, highly recommend Topolino's Terrace for a date night. Okay, number 1. I think I know.
It has to be Victoria and Albert's at Grand Floridian.
Yeah, so I wasn't sure if I wanted to put this on the list, and the reason is because I don't feel like this is necessarily just a date night. This is a financial, going to Victoria and Albert's is a financial commitment. So I feel like it's probably more of a special occasion type place versus just a date night, because it's high end. It's going to be expensive. So we went there. We actually started our honeymoon in Walt Disney World. We did coast to coast. We were 3 days in Walt Disney World, and then we were out in California and wine country and Carmel and San Francisco and all kinds of things. But we started in Walt Disney World, and something that I always wanted to do was to go to Victoria and Albert. So for our honeymoon, it made sense. It's a perfect time to go, and we did it up. We reserved a table in the Queen Victoria's room, not Victoria's room, in Queen Victoria room, which is a small, intimate dining room within the restaurant. I don't know,
There are
were
only
they
two. There are two or four tables.
there were
Maybe
four
four
tables. I
tables
think there were
max.
4 tables in there, and so you have you have two dedicated wait staff. So there was a waitress and a waiter who tended to us, and it was like nothing I've experienced before in dining. Do you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is not. I agree that you're not likely. Well, hopefully you can go and just do it on a drop of a hat to go for date night. That would be amazing. But for most people, that's probably not the case. So as Kim said, it's probably more celebratory, special occasion. Could even conceivably be a once in a lifetime type of dining experience too, because you may not be able to ever go there again. Um, I would say there are different levels. You can go to the main dining room. You can do a la carte. You can do the full menu. You can do wine. You can add on the wine pairing. So there's lots of different ways that you can do it. You can do the Queen Victoria private dining like we did. There's even one layer above that where I think it's the chef's
the
kitchen.
chef's
You're actually
table,
in the
yeah.
kitchen. I think the chef's table.
And the chef comes out and speaks to you and whatnot.
Yeah, so there's a number of ways, but I don't think it's not only is it a financial commitment, it's a time commitment. I think we were there a good 5 hours,
I think it was
four and a half to
four,
5 hours. And again, we did a 10-course menu
with wine,
the
optional wine pairing,
plus pre-cocktails, plus after dinner dessert, after dinner drinks. So it was an experience. I mean, it wasn't just a typical dining event. It was a full-on experience.
And the other thing with this is so you have a set menu, so you're not ordering off a menu. I mean, they tell you what the menu is, and they serve you all of the different courses. The food is so each course is going to be smaller. I mean, you can't eat 10 main courses, of food. It's just too much food. However, at the end of that, I was pretty stuffed. I was definitely stuffed, and too much wine for me. I can't have 10 glasses of wine. That's a lot for me.
It was a lot.
The food is very elevated, I guess is how you would describe
Yeah.
it, and so it's not for everybody because the food items are going to be unique. They're very different. I don't even know how to describe it.
Yeah.
To do justice to it.
It's not a typical. The only way I can describe it is it's not a typical dining experience. I mean, this was the only one on our list that I would say is not a place that you would take little ones if they're even allowed.
I don't think they're allowed. Yeah.
It's must have a jacket type of restaurant, dress code, things like you're going to have things like caviars, like I'm trying to think what else.
We have the menu.
Pâtés, like very, very, very things that are considered very, very high end, unique chef. I guess concoctions of different things that are all delicious, but very unique combinations.
Artfully done.
Yeah, I mean, the presentation to the taste, everything is going to be very unique.
Yeah, and there's a lovely harpist who plays, and I mean, it's a beautiful atmosphere. We really enjoyed it. It made quite an impression on us. But like I said, it's not somewhere where we're just going to go back because it's a commitment, and I don't know if we'll ever get to go back. I hope so someday, but maybe if we win the lottery. But it was a really neat thing to do on our honeymoon, and I'm so glad that we had the opportunity to do it. As Brandon mentioned, there is a dress code. All of the restaurants that we mentioned actually have a dress code, but the dress code for Victoria and Albert's is a step above that. You can wear jeans and whatnot. I think with all those restaurants, you just can't wear
Beach attire,
your
bathing suits in the pool. Yeah,
you can still kind of wear your park attire, but at Victoria and Albert's, no, you have to be dressed up. So I think that's the only restaurant on property where they actually mandate, men have to wear jackets, women need to be dressed up as well. So that's just something to keep in mind. But if you have a special occasion and you want an experience to remember, it's a great place to go. And if you should check out online. I think sometimes they list some of the sample menus, and take a look at it ahead of time and see if it is something that you might be interested in or something that you're going to enjoy. Because if you're not going to enjoy it, then I would, that's a waste of your money. You don't want to go and spend all that money to just be disappointed. So it's definitely something that you should check out online and just see some of the sample menus. They do, and all of the restaurants, I should mention this, are very accommodating of food allergies, or, if there's something that for whatever reason you can't have, they are very accommodating. I know at Victoria and Albert's, they called me, I don't know how far in advance, maybe a week in advance, and just wanted to go over the menu with me and make sure that I was okay with everything. So I mean, it's phenomenal service, and they take really, really good care of you, and it's just something that I'll always remember.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you feel very special while you're there. If you have the opportunity to go, absolutely, definitely try to check it out. It's one of a kind for sure.
All right. Well, there you have it, folks. Our top 5 date night restaurants in Walt Disney World. I think we'll do this again for something else. I don't know. Maybe we'll do breakfast and brunch spots, or family places, or favorite rides. I don't know. We'll come up with something else. But it was something fun for us to do on a Saturday night, and I hope you are enjoying your Saturday night in quarantine as well. Take care, folks. See you later.
Bye.